was the greatest leader while you were slipping. Okay? Yeah, I know. I'm waking you up. All these people complaining about Donald Trump. So how was he the greatest leader? Therefore, how were you the greatest at the time of his presidency? You were not. And your enemies took full advantage of that. and if you want to get deep about it, if you're not the greatest, if he's not the greatest leader, then that means spiritually he's not the highest ranking. That's a 7. Ow. Well, if he's not the greatest leader, I'm pretty sure he's probably not the greatest spiritual leader, which means your spirituality here in America, now you see where I'm going with this? All of it just upsided and became something else and all this crazy stuff. Because what's at the top can dictate certain things spiritually. It can make certain things happen or not happen spiritually, depending on the spirituality of the individual that's your leader. So that being said, everything, you don't realize how much you worried about all that files and all them stuff that they talk about they found and all of that. What you need to worry about is the whole time he was in office, the spirituality of this country, the integrity of this country, and him just not being the best leader in the world was all going on simultaneously. And you still are yet to see the impact of the Donald Trump's administration. Oh, I know you waking up. See, a person like that that's probably why the disease came here. A person like that can't fight spiritually. A person like Donald Trump can't fight spiritually where he can pray stuff off the country. Fast stuff off the country. He wasn't praying and fasting. He has no strong sense of spirituality. All the enemies could come in and do whatever they wanted to do with a man like that in office. Spiritual and physical enemies. That's a 7. Ow. Spiritual enemies can come in and do stuff when Donald Trump was in office. Yeah, I know you don't like that part, do you? But it's the truth. So that would explain why all of these things are happening. In fact, I would say that Donald Trump is part of the reason why we have premature judgments from God as well. Whew. That's a 7. We probably got premature judgments in the entire world because of this man. But I can't say it enough. When he was in office, he was not the greatest leader, which means someone else was the greatest leader the whole time. And that's what you need to think about. And in my personal opinion, it's with who I am in alliance with. It's Russia. Russia was the greatest country in the world the whole time Donald Trump was in office. That's a 7. Ow. Russia was the greatest country in the world the whole time Donald Trump was in office. Pretty much, yeah. I would have to say I would go with Russia. I wouldn't go with anybody else as the greatest in the world. I would have to go with Russia. So now you see where we at. So now you see why America is now siding with Ukraine and helping them. You see where I'm going with this? Helping them fight Russia. Russia been on top since Trump's administration. That's a 7. So now they're playing catch up, trying to get him back down. That's a 7. Ow. Did you hear what I just said? The Donald Trump administration, right, was not the greatest. Putin, the Russian people, the Russian leadership was the greatest in the world. So once they got Trump out of office, I think they seen it. I think Americans seen that Russia was the greatest. They had the better integrity. They had the better morality. They had the better character, sense of sanity. Donald Trump was talking out the side of his head. Putin ain't never been like that. So then people could look and say, well, you know what? They're looking better than us right about now. So see, by the time this war came, now you see where I'm going with this? They sided with Ukraine and they wanted to stop the people that was looking better than them, which was the Russians. That's a 7. Russia been looking better than America since Trump was in office. They've been waiting to get on top of Russia because Russia was the greatest the whole time Donald Trump was in office. Now you see the motives? Ukraine being played. They don't even care nothing about Ukraine. Man, most Americans didn't even know what the Ukraine flag even looked like. So how is that your real ally? By now, we should have seen the Ukrainian flag. How come we ain't seen it? I ain't never seen it. I seen it but didn't see it. I might have seen it but didn't see it. But we know Great Britain's flag. Everybody knows it. Because that's one of your greatest alliance, if not the greatest. But we've never really seen your alliance with Ukraine really commercialized, really. But all of a sudden, you jumping all over this war, though. Which, in the beginning, if you go back, guys, Ukraine blamed America for panicking concerning this war. That's a 7. The Ukrainians, the leadership, they blamed in the beginning of the war the Americans for panicking concerning the conflict. So how are you more zealous than the people that's fighting the conflict? Explain that to me. Because they wanted to have a war with Russia. But they're not man enough or woman enough to do it without another person involved. Why don't you just do it on your own, toe to toe? Toe to toe. Got other people fighting your battles. You've been mad because Russia has had more integrity during the Trump's administration. Can we agree with that? Who had more integrity during the Trump administration? Russia or America? Who had the better integrity? Who had the better character now? Come on now. Who had the better leadership overall? Russia or America? You can't be serious thinking the Trump administration was the greatest in the world. They were not. As soon as he stepped in office, you lost. Some would say it was intentional. It was intentional sabotage to put that man in office. That's what it looks like. Well, that's what got done. Didn't do nothing but sabotage your whole situation. And you cannot say a man that's going around sabotaging is the greatest leader in the world. This is just too good. This is what I'm telling you is just too good. This is good. He was not the greatest leader, which means someone else was, like I said. And in my opinion, that other leader was Putin. Putin's been on top. I don't have no problem with saying it. People need to know that. You need to know. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Anyway, what you gonna do about it? He's the greatest leader right now. What Joe Biden doing? Joe Biden just messed up 20 Joe Biden just messed up 20 years of progress. Now you see why God got me with the Russians? Because you're no longer the greatest and you didn't even know it. That's a 7. Why Donald Trump, what is he telling you? Which is a joke. Make America great again. You just made Donald Trump just made America lose its greatness. I can't make this up, man. I can't make this up. He got a slogan talking about make America great again. And because he was the leader of America, he made America second class. He made America not the greatest in the world. Talking about make America great again. Right or wrong? So you haven't been on top since that time. Okay? Putin had more integrity. Vladimir Putin had more integrity. He had more of a sense. I think he has better morals and all of that. Did you also know during the Trump administration, July 1st, 2019, that under his administration, they passed a law that allows adults to marry children at any age, no minimum age. Now, it was at first it was 12, and I think it bumped up to 20 states that allowed that. July 1st, 2019, right? As for many of you say, well, Trump didn't pass it, but Trump was aware of it as a president. He was aware of it, and he said nothing, did he? Loud as he is, right? Big as his mouth is, right? Big as the biggest chatterbox in the world. And he said absolutely nothing about the law passed July 1st, 2019, under his administration that allows adults to marry children at any age. I don't care how many states it is. It could be one state. It's the fact that it's going on here in this country. They try to dress it up and shave off some of the states. But the reason why they just wanted to make it look good, because they didn't get rid of all of it. That's a 7. They didn't get rid of all of it. So the lack of integrity is still here. That's a 7. Well, you didn't get rid of all the states. You got 9 states that still allows adults to marry children at any age. Any age. This happened under the Trump administration. He said nothing. And you telling me he was the greatest leader in the world? So you see where you at? And see, premature judgments came right on in. See where I'm going with this? Premature judgments came right on in. Because I don't care what you say, no Americans in this present time agrees with no child marriage, period. The average American, which is let's just say most of the Americans, okay? Most of the Americans, the average American, does not agree with that, which means it's not culture, which means you have 2 different countries here right now. You got the government country Americans and you got the community Americans. The community Americans do not agree with child marriage, but the government did it. That's a 7. Well, the government passed the laws. So guess what you got going on here? You got 2 different communities. And why you have those 2 different communities, not because of occupations and positions, you have 2 different communities because of 2 different perspectives. They are allowing child marriage. Your community as American citizens do not agree with it. That's 2 different communities, right or wrong. That is 2 different communities. That's not one country. That's 2 countries. That's a 7. So basically, you got 2 countries here. Not civil war. I don't even want you to think like that. You have 2 countries here in America based on these laws. These child marriage laws, no American community citizens agree with it, right? So that's not who you are as an American, but it's who they are. The government, They're passing these laws. So they're not a part of your American perspective. Now, are they? Okay, then. So y'all two different communities. And you think you're still the greatest in the world? You tripping, man. You tripping. You tripping. So while Donald Trump was in office, you were not the greatest country in the world. You're only as great as your leaders. You were not the greatest country, and you still are not. Now, let me get back to Joe Biden. The reason why you're also you're still not the greatest country in the world. Joe Biden is in office messing up 20 years of progress. That was the reason that was the response for the terrorist attacks on 9/11. When he went over there and pulled those troops out of Afghanistan prematurely, look what happened. People died, servicemen died, 7 children died too. They sent a drone, the military sent a drone over there and killed 7 children. They talking about they gonna give money to the family. They gonna make sure the family, they ain't gonna bring the kids back. Talking about they gonna make sure the family's straight. Who cares? The kids are gone. Kids. Children. They're gone. Okay? And Joe Biden is responsible for bringing that about and bringing those troops out prematurely. And now, here's the punchline. The Taliban is back on top of the government of Afghanistan. So how is he the greatest? I mean, you don't even got to be a military strategist to know better than that. You slowly but surely pull the troops out, making sure that the transition is smooth and that you don't have the radicals overtaking. It's like cartoonish. As soon as they left, they showed up. They showed up right after they left, like a cartoon. And they right back on the government, just like that. That part. Killing people and everything. And what got me was when Joe Biden said out of his own mouth, we'll judge the Taliban by what they do. Go look it up, man. I can't make it up. And you wonder why I am the way I am. Because I be listening to him. You don't. Joe Biden said we're going to judge the Taliban by what they do. This is exactly what I'm not paraphrasing. I'm not minking his words. I'm not changing his words. He said we're going to judge the Taliban by what they do. Now, if I didn't know any better, don't you already know what they do? Don't you already know what the Taliban do or does? So why are you waiting to see something else? Man, you can't be serious, bro. So y'all not the greatest country based on him too, his leadership. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can agree with that. You think Joe Biden is the greatest leader in the world? Come on, man. Stop playing. You think Joe Biden is the greatest? I ain't talking about the machine he's in. Like I don't know if you watched, if you're an 80s baby, you know about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. When Crane was inside the big robot thing, the brain was at the bottom of the stomach part. That's like Joe Biden. He got the machine of America, like walking around. He's the little brain, man. He's the little brain inside the big machine. But let's take him out the machine. You think he's the greatest leader in the world? Can you honestly say that? That you think not his allies, not him with? Let's make it clear. Let's talk about who is the greatest leader, not the alliances thereof. Who is the greatest leader in the world? Who it is? Who is it? Is it Joe Biden? Man, come on, bruh. Stop playing. So guess what that also means? For the past two presidency terms, you have not been the greatest country in the world. You therefore are not on top. That's why it's all falling apart. Because you're only as great as your leader. It's spiritual too. I know you don't think so, but it is. If you have a person that's spiritual, they have angels, they have high-ranking angels. I can only talk to spiritual people on this part. They have anointing, they have power, they have the Holy Ghost. They can they can ward off wickedness and even sickness and all of that. You ain't warding off no sickness with some spiritual chump. Call it like it is. You're either a spiritual warrior or a spiritual chump. So you're not the greatest in the world right now either. When did Donald Trump get in office? 2016? About that, right? I think so, yeah. About 2016. Okay, so you ain't been great. You ain't been great in 6 years. Literally. You have not been the greatest country in the world in 6 years. Now you see where you at? Now you see all the stuff that has happened to you. And here's the other thing. As you was not the greatest leader you in the world, you were making all type of mistakes. I think physical and spiritual, which caused all of this on us because you were so arrogant in being on top that you did all kind of arrogant things and you caused the whole global community to suffer. That's a 7. Because you was no longer on top. And I think some people manipulated. I think some people manipulated. I think so. I think some people manipulated. And it backfired and caused COVID-19 and all these things to come on us. I think America was in its lack of greatness was instrumental, part of the reason why we have these premature judgments. When they cease to be great, they start doing all these evils. Remember, I told you the evils bring about the premature judgments. And when they were not great anymore because of the past 2 leaders they've had, they begin to manipulate and do all kinds of things that maybe you'll never know about. Well, let's look at Donald Trump first of all. Look at all the manipulation he did. I can't make this up. Look at all the manipulation he did. You don't think that brought about premature judgments from God? You don't think so? You probably would never know all he did. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Nah, I don't know. We'll never know. But what we do know is we sitting up here with COVID more than anybody else. These are premature judgments. The country where it came from don't even got it worse than us. Think about it. That's kind of weird. And we can say, well, Donald Trump had a slow response. Well, see, there you go. And they took it down. It was an article, but you can dig deep and still find other ways to find the article. You probably can still find it. There was a investigation. I think it was a 46-page report investigation. Whoever does the investigation were people that were qualified to investigate the likes of presidents. They concluded that Donald Trump had an intentional slow response on COVID for political points. That's a 7. He intentionally had a slow response on COVID for political points. Now, some people will say, well, what sense does that make? Why would he have a slow response on COVID for political points and political strength? How would he get political strength from delaying on the response for COVID? This is why. Because he thought it would be like the equivalent of the swine flu, and then he would come in and fix it, and you would sing his praises and reelect him. That's a 7. He intentionally had a slow response on COVID so that he could come in and fix it like a storm. He allowed the storm to get big, and he didn't know what it was. No one knew how big it was going to be. He couldn't have possibly knew how big it was going to be. So we can establish that he didn't know how big it was. We all know we can establish that. He didn't know it was going to do this. So what he thought was probably based on things that already happened. That's an educated assumption, right? So that would be swine flu, mad cow disease, things like that, right? So he thought, oh, okay. And I don't think anybody else was thinking it but him. I'll let it work. Let it do a little bit. Let it get out of control a little bit. Then I'm gonna come in and fix it, and people gonna reelect me. You see what I'm saying? And if you don't think that's my perspective, if you think my perspective is wrong, if you think my perspective is wrong, why they do a 46-page report and concluded the same thing? They say he did it for political points, which means he wanted to come in. He allowed the storm, COVID-19. He allowed it, and then he wanted to fix it so he would get the political points. See what I'm saying? This is why he did this. And so guess what that means? You're in the storm, a complete storm of evil. That man basically sacrificed you so he could get reelected. Because you got to remember, 2020 was re-election year. Now, for anybody that hasn't worked enough jobs, you know what inspection is, right? I don't care if it's Kmart, Walmart, whatever. Inspection is when, at a job, when the big wigs come in. They're inspecting everything, making sure everything's up to par. So you got to make everything look pretty, right? It don't matter if it's McDonald's, you have inspection year. Inspection. So for politics, follow me. With politics, election year, which was 2020, was inspection year for the White House. This is the time when you get, all the big wigs is checking you out, making sure, seeing how everything's up to par, basically. But think about it. It's the equivalent it's similar to inspection year, inspection time. Well, they're inspecting you. They're seeing who you are, reevaluating who you are, I guess you could say, reestablishing it, rethinking about it. So all the big wigs, everybody's coming together to see who you are once again. Think about it. Which in that world would be the equivalent of inspection. So here's the punchline. Why during inspection, when you can make everything look pretty at the White House, do everything, when inspection people come through, Donald Trump could have made everything look pretty. Why would he have an intentional slow response on COVID during inspection time when everyone is inspecting the White House? You would think, even with a man that like him, well, let me just have a conference, tell people this is coming, He knew about it in January. He didn't tell you. Let's just go out here. It's inspection time. Got to keep this in mind while I'm telling you this. It's inspection time. I'm going to come out here and tell people, I'm going to do what I need to do, make everything look pretty, like at a job. So why would you do something to make people look bad, make you look bad? Hide the fact that they're talking about a disease. Why would you hide that? Why would, even if you felt the people were going to freak out, why would you make yourself more liable when it's more critical that you not be liable? Why would you take a chance of being liable by not telling the people about COVID? Why would you make yourself liable? And remind you, it's inspection year. Why would you make yourself liable? When you just, like this inspection time, just come out there and just tell them what happened. You're going to do your best. You're going to put the gloves out there. You're going to put the PPE out there. And see, if he would have told us and then it would have happened, then he would have put the PPE out there. People would have sung his praises that way. But he was too desperate. What he did was remind you, it's inspection year. So what we'll do, I'm gonna let this storm build up during this inspection time, and I'm gonna fix it. And during the inspection time, everybody gonna see that I've done a great job during inspection time. But it backfired, and it got out of control. Now you see where you at? And so God knew that. You didn't know. You didn't know what he did doing all this fouls, these stuff that they finding out now. You didn't know none of that. God knew.